All right, so Congressman, you are looking at this and saying a lot's not adding up. Like what?
Well, Neil, I was actually in the Army on active duty in Afghanistan when Private Bergdahl went missing. We now know almost to a certainty that he deserted his post. The soldiers in his unit have been saying that for days. In the last 24 hours, though, I think we have to ask the question, was he merely a deserter, or was he maybe even a defector? We just heard his team leader saying that he sought out the Taliban, even though he had friends among local Afghans, which was common among units there. But he went to seek out the Taliban. And given that we must have known that within the United States government within days after his disappearance, I think the president needs to give a full accounting for what he knew and when he knew it, and why he sent Susan Rice onto the Sunday shows to say that he served with honor and distinction, that he was captured on the battlefield. The American people deserve to know the truth as they're debating the wisdom of the president's prisoners exchange.
What would be scarier is if she was passing on the information she thought was right, and they were ignorant of that. That could be even scarier. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what the president was saying to justify this. War's over. We take all our men and women back home.
Neil, the war is not over. We have 32,000 troops still in Afghanistan, and the president's decision, irrespective of the nature of Bergdahl's disappearance and his conduct when his whereabouts were unknown, has made the 32,000 Americans that we have in Afghanistan face greater danger. There's
they're targets.
The Taliban or the Haqqani network, anyone else now knows that there is a price on the head of an American. Would we release Khalid Sheikh Mohammed? Would we release the blind sheikh? For that matter, what about our diplomats or our aid workers or any Americans?
Well, are you open to any prisoner exchanges at all? Israel does this routinely. The White House says, there is precedent for this in the Republican and Democrat administration.
Neil, I think this prisoner exchange would have been a bad idea, even if Private Bergdahl had been captured heroically on the field of battle. Of course, we don't leave any man behind. Right. That means we continue to search, we continue to use intelligence assets, and if necessary, when we get actionable intelligence, we send special operations forces to rescue them. But we don't just give away 5 senior Taliban commanders. Again, these are not goat herders or foot soldiers or couriers. These are high-level commanders, the equivalent of their Secretary of Defense or Director of the CIA.
In other words, that anyone in Gitmo is, by definition, a bad guy anyway.
These 5 in particular are particularly bad. And
do you know why these 5 were chosen?
The Taliban has wanted them for the last 5 years. This has been their demand all along, and for whatever reason, the president decided to give in to their demand now. And they're in Qatar, roaming around, apparently.
What do you make of that? Because the agreement was, well, Qatar was going to keep an eye on them, not let them go right to Afghanistan. How sure are we that they're going to do that? Because they're free to do whatever they want in Qatar.
Given the coverage we've seen from Qatar, I have grave doubts that they won't leave Qatar within the next year. But even if they don't leave it, they can still communicate. Taliban has representatives in Qatar, and obviously they can communicate into Afghanistan if they so choose.
All right. Now, I know there's this closed-door meeting in Washington at 5:30 today in the Senate. Lindsey Graham, the South Carolina senator, will be visiting us a little later in the show, has said that if this were to happen again, the president were to pull a stunt like this, I'm paraphrasing here, and make a hostage swap with Gitmo detainees, it would be an impeachable offense, if it isn't already. Do you agree?
Well, I think that discussion may be premature. We need to hear what the president has to say and his senior advisors have to say. Obviously, some of that has to be done.
Well, they say they've consulted, maybe not directly with you, clearly maybe not with Lindsey Graham, but that they did. But Dianne Feinstein says he didn't. Republican leaders said that he didn't.
The only person who has said he received consultation, to my knowledge, is Harry Reid the day before the capture. Dianne Feinstein, the senior Senate Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, says she heard nothing.
Well, by the way, you mentioned Harry Reid. This is what he had to say about this swap agreement. Harry Reid.
Well, I'm glad to get rid of these 5 people, send them back to Qatar. And I think the arrangements made there are, as far as I understand, it's been explained to me, adequate.
He's glad they're back in Qatar.
I mean, one has to wonder if Harry Reid cares more about getting those 5 Taliban commanders out of U.S. custody than he cares about getting Bo Bergdahl into U.S. custody.
Do you think those guys are going to try to do something bad to us now?
I fear they will. They are roaming around free in Qatar. They're free to leave within a year. And the Taliban wanted them back because of their skill and their leadership on the battlefield.
Is this really all about shutting down Gitmo?
I think obviously the president's desire to shut down Guantanamo Bay plays a part in this. He needed, as Harry Reid just said, they wanted to get these 5 out of Guantanamo Bay, maybe show that this could be a precedent for moving more.
In other words, if you get rid of the 5 most dangerous guys, then what are you worried about these other guys?
I think there are real questions that the president needs to answer.
Congressman, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
In the meantime, remember